Good evening, friends, and welcome to this press briefing on the forthcoming visit to Brunei and Thailand by Honorable Vice President. To brief you on the program elements of the visit and the expected outcomes, I have with me Secretary East, Sri Anil Vadva, Joint Secretary South, Sri Jaideep Mazumdar, and OSD to the Vice President, Sri Anshuman Gaur. Secretary East will make a opening statement, and thereafter we can get into the Q&A. With that, I give the floor to Secretary East.
Thank you, Vikas. Dear friends, today I will give you a background on the visit of the Vice President to Brunei and to Thailand. First, talking about the visit to Brunei Darussalam, which is happening from 1st to the 3rd at the invitation of Crown Prince Haji Al Mutadi Billah of Brunei Darussalam, and this will be the first ever visit to Brunei at the level of Vice President of India since the establishment of diplomatic relations. Background is that India and Brunei have enjoyed very close and friendly relations, and we enjoy mutual respect and understanding on various bilateral and multilateral issues. Both countries are linked by history, culture and traditions for over a millennium. In fact, the ancient kingdoms of Brunei were linked to the ancient Hindu kingdoms, and it was only in the 16th century that a change was brought about in Brunei. India established diplomatic relations with Brunei in May 1984. We also sent a ministerial delegation to attend the Independence Day celebrations of Brunei. The Sultan of Brunei had paid a state visit to India in September of 1992, and subsequently the Indian resident diplomatic mission was opened in Bandar Seri Begawan in 1993. As far as visits are concerned, the Sultan of Brunei, His Majesty Haji Hassan al Bolkiah Muizzuddin Wadullah, had last visited India in 2012. He participated then in the ASEAN-India Commemorative Summit held in New Delhi. Also, our former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, had participated in the 11th ASEAN-India Summit and the 8th East Asia Summit, which was held in Bandar Seri Begawan in 2013. Our Prime Minister also met with the Sultan of Brunei in November 2014 in Naypyidaw in Myanmar, and our political contacts have periodically contributed to the strengthening of these relations. Brunei has become an important partner and ally for India in ASEAN. Brunei had played a very important role as India-ASEAN coordinator from 2013 to 2015. Brunei has been supportive of India's stand on Jammu and Kashmir. It extends its support for India's candidature for permanent membership on the United Nations Security Council. Brunei is also cooperating with India at various multilateral fora. Our trade has grown over the years, although it has remained below potential. The trade volume between India and Brunei is about $1 billion, most of which is made up of crude oil, and potentially gas requirements can also be met from Brunei. Petroleum products as well as organic chemicals, metal, ores and scraps are the other commodities that we import from Brunei. India, in fact, is the third largest destination for exports of Brunei, making up of about 10% of total exports of Brunei. And our main exports to Brunei consist of transportation equipment, followed by meat and meat products and gems and jewelry. So, as I said, there is an enormous potential for collaboration in the hydrocarbon sector, in the upstream and the downstream hydrocarbon sector, and the imports of $935 million, which amounts to the crude oil imports from Brunei, can easily be pushed up. Besides the economic ties, Brunei is home to more than 10,000 Indian community, and there is tremendous goodwill and respect for the Indian professionals, particularly teachers and doctors who work in Brunei. So a little bit about the program there. As I mentioned earlier, His Royal Highness Haji Al Mutadi Billah, the Crown Prince, will host the Honorable Vice President during his visit to Brunei. He will have an audience with His Majesty Haji Hassan Al Bolkiah, the Sultan of Brunei. He will also address the Indian community at a reception and deliver an address at the University of Brunei, Dar es Salaam. During his meetings, the Honorable Vice President will discuss a number of issues of bilateral, regional, and multilateral significance, and also hold discussions on cooperation in sectors such as civil aviation, space, trade and investment, besides hydrocarbons, information and communication, etc. Cooperation in ASEAN and East Asia Summit and other multilateral fora will also be on the agenda. A couple of MOUs that we are expected to sign are related to the field of health and defense cooperation, and these are expected to be signed during the visit. It's still work in progress. Now I come to Thailand. The Thailand visit will take place from 3 to 5 February, and this is an official invitation of the Prime Minister of the Royal Kingdom of Thailand. Again, this is the first vice presidential visit from India after a gap of 50 years, and the Vice President will be accompanied by a high-level delegation, which includes a Minister of State, 4 members of Parliament, and other senior officials. During the visit to Bangkok from 3 to 5 February, the Vice President will be given an official welcome ceremony at the Government House, followed by a meeting with His Excellency General Prayut Chan-o-cha, who is the Prime Minister of Thailand. He will also have an audience with Her Royal Highness Princess Mahachakri Sirindhorn, who, as you know, is a scholar in Sanskrit language. He will deliver a speech at the prestigious Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok on the topic of Look East to Act East, and special reference to India's partnership with Thailand and ASEAN. And then he will also address the Indian community in Thailand at a reception which will be hosted in his honor by the Ambassador of India to Thailand. The Vice President will briefly visit the city of Chiang Mai in northern Thailand, and this will be on the 5th of February, where the governor of the province will be hosting a banquet in his honor. He would also visit the Royal Development Study Center on Sustainable Development, which was visited by former Prime Ministers of India, Narasimha Rao and Atal Bihari Vajpayee. As you know, the relationship between India and Thailand has been traditionally very close. Thailand is an important and integral part of India's strategic partnership with ASEAN, and India's Act East policy is complemented by Thailand's Look West policy, and that brings the two countries closer. In the last decade, our economic relationship has expanded manifold. Thailand is the second largest economy in the ASEAN and the Greater Mekong sub-region. Thai economy is heavily export dependent, with exports amounting to more than 2/3 of its GDP. Our two-way trade in 2014 totaled about $8.66 billion US, with about $5.62 billion in Thai exports to India and $3.04 billion in Indian exports to Thailand. In the ASEAN itself, Thailand ranks number 4 trading partner of India after Singapore, Indonesia, and Malaysia. We have an expanding relationship in the field of security cooperation in defense, education, and science and technology, and people-to-people contacts. In 2015, more than 1 million Indian tourists visited Thailand, and over 100,000 Thai tourists visited India. This is a growing area of cooperation. So we look forward to discussions on various issues pertaining to our relationship, and the visit of the Vice President, which, as I said, is a visit by an Indian Vice President after a gap of 50 years, will be another landmark in our relationship with Thailand, which is growing swiftly in several important areas. So I would stop there, and if there are any questions, you're free to ask.
Manish Chand.
So there are reports that suggest that Southeast Asia is emerging as a hub of Islamic State-inspired terrorism. We saw recently blasts in Jakarta. Also, there were blasts in Bangkok last year. How are we looking to step up, intensify counter-terror cooperation with Thailand and Brunei?
As far as Thailand is concerned, we have two very important joint working groups under a security cooperation. One of them relates to counterterrorism. In fact, Thailand has extradited some very well-known and important terrorists in the recent past, over the past year. We are also working with Thailand in issues like money laundering, counterfeit currency, and smuggling of drugs, etc. So for all this, we have now a good legal framework in place. Thai authorities are very cooperative as far as India is concerned, and we're very satisfied with that relationship. This relationship is growing, and we continue to consult and cooperate in the future.
No other questions?
Can you tell us about the Peshawar attack?
Prime Minister has already tweeted. I have nothing to add to that. My weekly press briefing, as you know, is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Thank you all.